guys, Joe here. So in this video, I'm just kind of talking about some of the crap I'm going through and just some random thoughts. Hopefully they help you out. So I'm driving into work. So I'm about to run over the squirrel. And I'm thinking about the future of the company. And so right now we're in the process of looking to hire another person for the front counter. So that way we basically have 2 full-time front counter people, and then alongside with my wife as well. And like going through the whole using Indeed and things like that, there were so many people applying. I'm like, all right, this is perfect. Because at the end of the day, like the job in itself is not that hard. It's just, you know, we have these core values within our company. If you have them, like chances are you're going to be okay, right? But like through Indeed, most of these people are like, you know, there was tons of people applying and like, you know, reaching out, and I'm spending like, you know, literally like 20 plus minutes on a phone call, really driving or, you know, drilling into core values, basically saying like, if you don't have these, it's just not going to work, right? And then they're like, yeah, you know, I have these, blah, blah, blah. And then we schedule an interview, and then like last minute, they're like, oh, I can't make it because of whatever reason. And like, it's been getting frustrating, and it's like to the point where like I have more people, you know, the applications are still coming in, but then I'm like, do I continue to do this? Do I continue to just bring in someone that we just don't know, you know, as this entry-level position? Or do I basically bring in my former supervisor, which honestly, like at this point, we can make it work, but she's not cheap, right? But then again, I feel like the value that she would bring would be vastly, like way more multiples compared to like what I would have to pay, you know, compared to like, I guess the salary gap, right? Because at this point, you know, for, you know, this entry level position, you know, after all said and done, like it's probably going to cost me, I got a new fence, you know, it's probably going to cost me, you know, someone that's like 15, 16, you know, an hour. But with the supervisor, like it's a 6-figure person, right? And then I have to deal with health insurance, which I want to get situated for this year anyway, and vacation time and some of these other things. So it's taken someone that's realistically, after payroll taxes and everything else, is probably going to cost me, you know, that person probably going to cost me about $45,000 a year, to someone that's probably going to cost me closer in a range of like 100 and, I don't know, 50, 160. So it's like 3.5 to 4 times what I'm currently looking for, right? That being said, like I know we need this individual for the future. Maybe not this exact person, but the exact quality, you know, and what they can bring to the table is what, you know, we need, you know, for the future of this company, right? Because we can't just keep on relying on myself and my wife. I do want to, you know, what happens if we're not here? What happens if we're on vacation? What happens if we're sick, right? And so, like, I'm trying to go back and forth, and it's like, I just don't know what the right answer is. But then again, I don't know if we ever know what the right answer is, you know, because I do hear the stuff from, like, Alex Hormozi, and I know I quote him all the time. But, like, basically one of the things with being an entrepreneur is doing things for long periods of time without knowing if it's the right thing to do, or maybe not even seeing the results, you know, immediately, and waiting months, you know, or even years, depending on like what the, you know, the aspirations are. So that's what I'm kind of going through now. And then so I started looking, and it's like, you know, as far as, you know, I started listing out what I would need this, you know, this person, whoever happens to be, you know, what this particular person is, like, as far as like my expectations for this year, as far as like, you know, the different areas that they have to learn, things that they will be responsible for, you know, things like that. And so one of the things I said to myself is like, you know, one of the people in the production area, like they really we're working on getting them into like a higher level position. That's where, you know, have to constantly work with them and groom them and things like that. But then I realized I'm probably not the best person for that, right? And So then it's like, because I said, because I'm basically telling myself I'm not that type of person. So then I'm like at like a crossroads of like, or, like a Y or a V or in the road or whatever. And it's like, I have the one path of like, we just bring the regular counter person and hopefully they're decent and we can get them up and running and stuff like that. And then I will, keep on developing this individual, right? Whereas I'm saying like, I'm just probably not the best person for it. But I also feel like I'm telling myself that I'm not the best person, so therefore I'm not going to be the best person for that position. Like, oh, I'm not great at this, or I'm not great at that. So I'm telling myself that, so I'm just never going to be that person, right? And or the other way, or do I do that and be like, do these affirmations and everything else and be like, I'm just going to become this person, right? That's one option. Or the other option is I just bring in, someone that's already, I know that they're really good at it, and I keep on just moving along with the company. So that forces or allows me to focus on the different areas of the business and the growth and things like that, instead of having to worry about the day-to-day operations, which I tell myself all the time, like, that is just not for me. It's not, I don't enjoy it. I don't really get anything out of it. I enjoy more of the mental aspect of things, not so much the actual doing of the things. I keep on telling people, it's like, my thing here is basically to have the vision and develop the culture within the business, or, set the expectations and hold people accountable to that thing, and basically get us to where we want to go. So that way, the company's more successful, it's bringing in more money, I'm able to pay my people more, I'm able to offer the health insurance, vacation time, and like whatever else they need from me, so that way they can be successful within the company. And so now I'm like, I keep on going back and forth, like, what do I do? Because it is the end of December, this person would end up costing me, like when I ran the numbers, it's going to cost me, compared to someone else, an extra $2,000 a week, right? And I think for a lot of people, well, 9 to 5 people aren't really watching this channel, so it doesn't really pertain to that. But my mindset has always been like, sell more fences, right? And to just cover that. But the problem is, like, in the back of my mind as well, actually not really, it's probably my wife really, is that I was saying that so long with the installation company, it's like, if we just increase the sales, if we just do this, like, it's going to make everything work. Well, we just never got to that level. We always stayed at just under 8% in closing rate, because I was doing stupid shit. And I was trying to make something like, kind of fit in like, a round, or a square plug into a round hole. And it's just not, like, I was trying my hardest, but it just wasn't working. And I would say to myself, like, if I would just, and I was thinking about this the other day, if I would have just hired a coach legit for like an hour and said, look, these are the problems going through, this is what we're doing through the quoting process, blah, 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 they would have been like, just go out and do the fucking quotes instead of everything else we were doing. I won't go into all the details, but we were trying to do everything over the phone. And it's just not what people are used to, right? And we just didn't make it work. We didn't have the right people, and like, it had me as like the director of sales, which I'm not a salesperson. And so it just made no sense. So, and then I read a post by David Gatto. If you're in the fence industry, I'm sure you know him. And it was, and I know this as well, but it's like I have to get like punched in the face with it, is that it was something about the captain of the ship. It's like, basically the captain of the ship is not going below deck and like fixing things and, being that super crew person. Like, they are guiding the ship to where it needs to go. And so then when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, that's 100% right. Like, I shouldn't be in a position, right? Because it doesn't make any sense. And then everything points towards, I really just need to get my supervisor, my previous supervisor or someone of that caliber in this position, like, as soon as I possibly can, because I should not be below ship. I should be above ship and figuring things out and like figuring out the direction of the company, and constantly, we're constantly making tweaks to this business just to make it better and better and better. So I feel like the decision is like bringing in someone like my supervisor, bringing the best possible people that I can, And like there's another thing that Alex Hormozi said, I don't know exactly what it was, but he's like, the difference between an A player and a B player is like the A player gets like 2 to 3 times more done than the B player. Well, at this point, like I feel like I'm skipping a few rungs, because like the person I'm bringing in has to be fully trained, doesn't know anything within the business and everything else. So really they're at max, they're like a C-level person, right? And from a C-level person to a B-level person is like 2 to 3 times, right? And then from a, you know, C person to an A person is probably realistically like 6 to 10. Yeah, right? And just between the value that they can bring to the business, because it's not even just them that they are affecting, you know, like, you know, themselves, like what they can bring to the table, it's but what they help others bring to the table as well. So, you know, at this point we have 5 people in the back, you know, the two people up front, you know, my wife and another person up front, plus we're going to be bringing in more people. So by bringing this one individual, it has the opportunity to affect, and in a good way, the like 8 to 10 individuals, way more than I can personally accomplish on my own. So I feel like the answer is, like, I'm just kind of talking through this, but I feel like the right decision is to bring my former supervisor and figure out just like, how do we just add an extra $2,000 a week, you know, to pay for her. But honestly, when I get to these types of decisions, like that's not even a hard part. Like the money part, I've never really worried about. From there, if this helps anyone, because this is what I would naturally do, is like, okay, if we have to sell, if we need $2,000 more in profit every week, how do we get that, right? So then we just work backwards. And from like, if for me, it's a little bit easier now. Well, actually, it's really the same, whether you're installation or for sale, like, you know, the supply side. Supply side now, it's everything's about margin. So like now I just look at, okay, what is our margin? And then I, you know, work backwards from that. So just say if the margin is 30%, I would just take the 2,000 divided by the 30% and whatever that number happens to be, which I don't know. I don't have my watch on me, so I can't do the quick math. But then it's like, we just have to hit this X amount in sales, and then you translate that into like the panels and stuff like that. It might be like, we got to sell like X amount, you know, whatever those panel is. Now, from the installation side, if you guys, I don't know how you do your pricing. Some people work off the margins and stuff like that, which is fine. Like the person that bought our business, they work off a margin, so it makes it easy. So then you just kind of work backwards from that. The other side is like, we would look at profit per job. So, you know, if you're making $500 profit per job and you're trying to bring in someone that costs you an extra $2,000 per week, well, then you need 4 extra jobs per week, you know. And now hopefully your profit per job is not $500. It's much more than that, unless it's like a half a day job. But you just work backwards. So if you need, you know, if you make $1,000 per job, you need $2,000 per week. Well, then you just book an extra 2 jobs. And then from there, you work backwards a little bit more. Like if your closing percent is 20% and you need to book 2 jobs extra, right? Do you have enough leads to accommodate that? And the way to do that is you take the, you know, the 2 jobs divided by the 20%, which is, you know, 5x more. So then you would need 10 additional leads, right? So then how do you get those 10 additional leads, right? So then you can work from there. Or it's like, how do I increase my closing percent? Well, if now it's 25%, well, now I only need 4 times the lead, so I only need 8 instead of 10, right? So it's all just numbers games and, you know, running back and forth. But I think at this point, I think I have to stop doing the same thing I've been doing, which is just trying to bring in the lowest level people that I can, not in a bad way, but it's like, you know, bringing the lower level people that I, you know, are available or, you know, are willing and able to work for a company that's in my current status, or, you know, that is basically, we are a newer company, and I tell people this, like, we're basically a startup. We've only been around for 1.5 years. Yes, I do have the experience of the other fence company from, you know, for doing that for 7 years, but this is a new company. I don't know what to expect. That being said, like, we're at the end of December, we're about to go into January, there's like 2 months left, and it's like, I know, like, I fucking know that we're gonna do crazy numbers this year. I just see it. Like, I can feel it. The salespeople, like, I brought in salespeople, and they're doing a good job, and I see it coming. Now it's like, and again, like, I'm looking long term into that. It's like, well, if we get like, if right now we're projecting a 2 to 3x increase over last year, which realistically it might be a 3 to 5x increase, and it may happen. And it sounds crazy to say that we may go, I don't know what we end up, I got to run the numbers, but I feel like we're at like close to 4 for this year. So the fact that we might go between 12 and 20 is pretty fucking insane. Like, insane. But then it's like, if we're hitting those upper echelon numbers to 12, I feel like 8, if we go to 8 this year, you know, for the following year and double our business, like, I feel like we can handle that pretty easily. But I feel like going to the 3x, like 3, 4, and 5, like, that's gonna like bring some more challenges, right? And then on top of that, what about me not, like, again, like, me not being here and stuff like that? Like, we have to continue to develop the people so that way the owners don't have to be involved day after day. Which for me, actually, I don't have to. It's really my wife. So it's like, I really need someone to take over that position, which we do have one person that I think we can groom into that position, because she's kind of slowly going into that route anyway. It's just, I have to keep on building up her confidence. And she can see you know, she can see herself within the company and moving up within the company. Like, she's already said it. So I don't know. There we are. So here's me talking to myself, and hopefully get some value out of it. But long story short, I do feel it's probably best, and I got to talk to my wife, because she's like, I'm like the go person, you know, visionary, like going where we need to go. She's the one kind of keeping me out of trouble. She tries. But normally I just kind of, if I really feel passionate about something, if I really feel like it's the right decision to do, like, I'll just do it. And if that's a mistake, it's a mistake. So anyway, hope this helps someone. Have a great day. See ya.